Hey, that's great. Well, I know you guys are all wondering, why is each one of these children carrying blue sticks? Okay. I learned a new word, I would say a phrase maybe. My daughter loaned this to me, and probably some of you guys have probably already read these to your children, but they've got some really neat stories in here. And today's story I'm taking out of this. And the one that caught my eye was called Code Blue. You see this? Can anybody see this? I'm wearing blue. All the kids, they have blue. I give you these to remind you about our story. It's called Code Blue. Does anybody here ever heard that word Code Blue? I haven't either. I've never heard it, but I guess it's really, really common on the East Coast. And other places, it's really super cold. Now, a lot of you guys, well, some of you guys still have your jackets on. It's pretty cold outside, isn't it? Pretty cold, huh? Can you imagine living somewhere where it's really, really super cold, where it doesn't get that cold here in Modesto, California, thank goodness. We've had a few times in the history, but very, very few times. I can remember, now I'm going to date myself. I think it snowed actually the year I was born in 61. And I remember it snowing back in, I believe, 1978. It was a freaky storm, but it was snow on the ground enough for us kids scooped up the snow and threw snowballs at each other. That's a novelty here in Modesto. I know all you guys here, my grandchildren too, including, they don't see snow. The only time they see snow is when we go up to the mountains and we go in the snow and we play in the snow, right? But what do we do when we go play in the snow?
We have to put some warm stuff on.
That's right, warm stuff on. So, we have an assistant here. So what happens, this story is called Code Blue. Show those warm things right here, warm things, thank you. Code Blue, what happened was this little boy, he was only 12 years old, okay? That's older than a lot of you guys here, but he was only 12 years old. And he was watching television with his father one night. His name was Trevor. This happened on the East Coast. East Coast, when I mean East Coast, I'm talking about Philadelphia. And apparently in Philadelphia, it gets super, super cold in the winter. Probably snows. I'm assuming it snows. Anyway, apparently it's so cold that they have this called Code Blue. Code Blue. See how we have all our blue on here? Okay, so Trevor heard this on the television, and the newsman said, it's going to be Code Blue tonight. Anybody here know what Code Blues means?
It means very, very cold.
That's right. It means it's going to be very, very cold. With us in here, we're not too worried about it because, we're going to go home. We're going to snuggle up in our warm houses, right? Or put on our boots, or like Amy has here, a hat. How about a sweater hat, when you're outdoors? How about some gloves, right? Keep our hands warm. How about some socks? Look at these socks. These socks are going to keep some people's feet warm. We've got boots and things. I just brought some of these to show you. Those are some of the things I have to keep me warm when I'm going out and in the very cold. But sad to say, some people don't have any of these things. They don't even have what we call a roof over our head. They're called homeless. Isn't that sad? That's pretty homeless. During the television recorder, the reporter was trying to tell the families that it's going to be a cold blue. That means everybody who's out there that don't have shelter could freeze to death. So it's very important that they all have a heavy blanket or jackets or hoods or, all these warm things to keep them warm. And then suddenly Trevor got a idea in his head. He's like, Dad, oh my goodness. And Dad was listening to the TV because he wanted to listen to the sports. Okay, so that's not bad, but so he says, Trevor, for a minute, okay? So Trevor ran to his room, and he took it to heart, and he looked in his room, and he's like, what do I have that I could share? Because somebody out there is going to freeze tonight if I don't keep them warm. He had all these blankets on his bed. He goes, I don't need all those extra blankets. He went and he took one of his blankets. He went back into the living room where his dad was. He goes, Dad. He's like, what, Trevor? he didn't mean rudely, but he's like, he wanted to listen to the sports. And he's like, Dad, I've got this warm blanket and I'm not using it anymore. Can't we please go take it out to somebody who needs it? He goes, Trevor, there's lots of people out there. He goes, but Dad, that one person, just that one person. Sorry. So anyway, sorry, get emotional. He was only 12 years old, and the Lord touched his heart. We're never too old or never too young to help one another. So with that in mind, I've been doing this for years, because here in Modesto, for some reason, and I'm sure it's in all the other cities around the world, there's lots of homeless people. And I feel that, and for some reason, we don't know what their circumstances are, why they became homeless. It could be for many, many reasons, but we're not here to judge. Lord tells us to love each other. So in my car, I have a car, and you guys, I know you don't, but mommies and daddies do. What I do is I keep a supply in my car. And this little bag here, it's just, I'm using this as a demo. I have some things here. A lot of the homeless people have animals, and they get hungry too. So I keep little chewies here for them. I always carry bottled water with me too, especially in the hot months. They really need it. I wish I had somewhere to give them hot water stuff, but I carry snackies in here. I always carry snackies. And another thing that I do that I like to share with them is God's word. And I know all you guys have seen these too, parents. They're called glow tracks. And I always slip one into the little bags. So not only will they get nourishment for their body, but they'll get nourishment for their head and their heart. And someone, they will read this. Also, it says here in our book, you can find this in John. See, sorry about that. Chapter, I know, I have it marked here. Chapter 13. And it says here, chapter 13 in the book of John, verse 34. Jesus commanded, he goes, I have a new command for you. Love one another as I have loved you. So you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another. And you know how we can share our love with one another is by sharing what we have. And we can share, and I brought today bags here. And I want each one of you to take it at least one bag. But this to share with somebody on the street, okay? Or anywhere you see that you think somebody needs this. This is to share, okay? It's not for you guys. These little blue sticks that I gave you is to remind you cold blue. That means it's cold outside, right? So I want you to share this. And you can share little things like this too. Warm socks. You see them? You can give them a pair of warm socks. I know we take it for granted, but a lot of people out there right now could use these, okay? So remember, you're never too young, just like Travis. He wasn't too young. And you know what? It was a good story. The ending of the story, by the way, because of that one night, he sparked in the hearts of his parents to help the homeless. And from that, they started doing soups at different parks and things, and they started shelters. So in Philadelphia, I guess Pennsylvania, they have these homes called Trevor's houses. Isn't it amazing? Just by one spark, because he heard, he listened. Thank you.